If you're looking for a different way to play Mervamon without having to make fancy loop combos, then this deck will be perfect for you. Digimon fans, welcome back, and today we'll be showcasing a very new and spicy deck profile. What if I told you that there's a completely different way to play Mervamon without having to play it within the Minerva Loop or Xros Heart deck? Well, there's actually a super cool and easy way to play Mervamon within Pure Purple, and I have Mervamon Rush deck to show you guys today. One of my friends played this deck against me, and I was very surprised with what it can do and how simple the idea really is. Even top tier decks like Black Wargreymon X, Xros Heart, and Grandis have a hard time facing it. And the best thing is that it requires very little brain power to play and pilot compared to the Minerva and Merva Loop combos. Speaking of Minerva and Merva Loop, if you guys want to see me cover the deck as well, then be sure to let me know in the comments and subscribe right now. But also don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you'll know as soon as that video comes live. And I would greatly appreciate it if you could give this video a like as well while you're at it. Like always, I will show you guys how to play this deck with all the combos and the strategy behind it right after the deck profile, so let's jump right into the build first. I am also super excited to announce a new feature on my channel where I launched my very first ever YouTube membership called the Avault Club. By joining, you will have access to exclusive perks and contents that regular viewers don't have. Perks include the Avault Club membership badge, and the best part is that you'll be able to see members only community posts featuring my first draft deck profiles even before the video comes out. You will see more updates by me for every deck profile release and even updated deck lists and adjustments with all the lists. Your comments and questions will also have priority replies from me. So what are you guys waiting for? Click on the join button right now. Thank you all so much for the support, and I look forward to engaging with you guys. Okay, Digi-Egg cards. We got 4 copies of Demi-Mervamon and 1 copy of Pagumon. Demi-Mervamon still being one of the best eggs because on deletion you draw 1 and trash 1. Being able to choose what you want to trash to set up your trash for resources is always great. Pagumon is always a really good secondary egg to have because on deletion you get to trash the top 2 cards of your deck. So you do want to add more cards in your trash. The more you do, the more value you have. That's how we started to run a turbo combo. And 5 eggs is pretty decent because you do sometimes get into it because it is a purple deck after all. But if you guys prefer only have running the 4, you can just go with 4 Demi-Mervamons instead. But yeah, 5 has worked out nicely for me. Okay, let's talk about our rookies. Of course, very important first rookie. We do have the 4 copies of the Gabumon from BT2 on deletion, draw 2, trash 1. Really good and inheritable, so you definitely want to be seeing this rookie as often as you can, which is why you play 4. Next, we have Ignitemon, which is a newer card from BT11. Really great effect. You can Digivolve for 0 on top of any Digimon that's level 2 with Xros Heart, but that doesn't really apply to this deck whatsoever. When attacking, by deleting one of your other Digimon, you get to delete one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with a level less than or equal to the deleted Digimon's level. Really good because that gives you a lot of versatility with things with what you can pop. You can potentially pop big stuff, small stuff. Then it has an inheritable of all turns once per turn. When you play a Digimon by an effect, you gain a memory, which is going to be really crucial to our Merva combos, which we'll showcase later on. And 3 is really all you need, just because that most games situations you only really need to see 1, but yeah. Next up, we have the 2 copies of the Demi-Devimon from EX1. Some of you guys might be super confused. I was super confused when I first saw this card in the deck. But really, just keep in mind that all we're playing this card for is because it's a rookie and it has retaliation. It does have a secondary effect, which is a downside because your turn, while you don't have a Digimon with Myotismon in its name in play, this Digimon can attack your opponent's Digimon. However, it doesn't stop you from attacking your opponent's security directly, and really the idea of this deck is try to rush down the security anyways, and having that retaliation is going to be really important as we explain with our Mervamon combo section later on. Then we got 2 copies of the Elecmon with on deletion. You get to delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon, which is going to be really important and really crucial to this deck generally because you can get rid of Floodgate rookies, especially memory blockers. Speaking of Floodgate rookies and memory blockers, we do have the 2 copies of Gazi and the 2 copies of Psychmon. Really even split right here, 2 and 2, really important, really good to counter against different matchups, which is why you definitely want to see these 2 cards from time to time. And then last but not least, we have one Dracmon as our tech. This is another rookie that gives you on play. You may return one purple option card with a memory cost of 1 or 7 from your trash back to your hand. Really good to search for some things that you need to play again. You can recycle some of your options, and yeah, really good tech clutch card and very suitable in some situations. Okay, that's it for our rookie lineup. Let's talk about our level 4s. Of course, we have the Eismon package here with the 4 copies of Scattered Mode and then the regular Eismon as well. Really good in combination with our Gabumon, so we can just turbo trash, turbo draw, and that's really what it's there for, and we're trying to make early swings with this card all the time. Next, newer card, we have 4 copies of Dark Lizardmon, which is kind of like a nerfed version of Eismon Scattered Mode, but it has retaliation. On deletion, you get to draw one and trash one, which is still really good as a substitute anyways. We mainly play it again because it has retaliation, which is going to be really important with the combo of the deck once again. And yeah, this card is just really good. And then last but not least, we have one Doberman for our level 4 to sort of tech in every now and then. We get to mill on deletion, which is great, and then we get to grab cards that we want back from the trash. Just a really nice one-off for sure for clutch situations. Keep in mind we never play with its first effect of decreasing its play cost by 2 because we don't play Alice McCoy in this deck whatsoever, just so you guys know. That's it for all the level 4s. We do not have any level 5s, so we're skipping all the way straight to our level 6s to showcase you guys what we have here. We got 4 copies of brand new Mervamon from BT11. This card is your key boss Digimon. It is called Mervamon Rush, so you want to be getting into this card as soon as possible. She can Digivolve on top of a black level 5 or a purple level 5 for the cost of 4, but keep in mind, you will never ever Digivolve this card in this deck because you don't have a level 5 anyways. So she does a lot of things for the deck, so I'm going to break it down and sort of like explain to you guys and digest. When you would play this card, you can also place cards from your trash in its Digivolution cards for its Digicross requirements, which is really good. That means you can pick up your Ignitemon from trash and place it under her and use Digicross. On play or when Digivolving, you get to play one purple level 4 or lower Digimon card or one level 4 Digimon card with Xros Hearts and its traits from your trash without paying memory cost. If Digicrossing, add one number to the cards that you can play with this effect. So effectively it means that when we do our combo, which I'll again show you guys later, we can bring out 2 bodies alongside with her, which is really good. Now she has an all turns effect, which gives you so much value, which is why retaliation is super important. All your Digimon with Xros Heart and their traits, which none of them really are, we're mainly focusing on the retaliation part. If they have retaliation, gain rush and blocker. Now this is really good because this gives you 3 bodies and you can immediately swing very quickly, including herself, which is why this card is really good. And for the last part, she is Digicross 3, so you Digicross with any Digimon that has Xros Heart and its traits, and you get to reduce the cost by 3, which is really good, effectively making her an 8 cost. And you guys might be wondering, 8 cost is a lot to pay, 8 cost is a lot of memory as well. But don't worry, as we get into the deck later on, you guys will understand how this really works, especially when I teach you how to play as well. So yeah, she is your boss Digimon. Other level 6, we have 2 Nidhogg's. This card is actually incredibly good for the deck. Its effect is when you trash this card from your hand with one of your effects, you get to gain 1 memory. Keep in mind, you don't ever Digivolve it ever because you don't have any level 5s to get into it. This is kind of like your hand card that you need, a hand effect card. Now, why this card is even better is because in a very specific clutch situation, during your opponent's turn, if they have 0 memory, and you have a Digimon on board that has sort of any sort of draw 1, trash 1 effect on deletion, if they get rid of that Digimon and you have Nidhogg in your hand, guess what? You get to draw 1 card and trash 1 card, and you get to trash Nidhoggmon. And with Nidhoggmon's first effect, which can be actually used and activated during both players' turn, which happens anytime, as long as it's trash, you gain a memory, and guess what happens? The memory gauge passes to you at 1, and you immediately effectively end your opponent's turn, which is huge. There are some really clutch situations with this card that can actually disrupt your opponent's turn, disrupt your opponent's plays, and from those situations, it can turn into game-winning situations too, which is why this card is really good. And 2 of, and I would sometimes argue having a 3 is not too bad at all, but yeah, crazy because it's almost kind of like a hand trap for the deck, which you never ever expect to see happen. And then last but not least, one Def X is still just a really good card in general. If you guys don't have access to Def X, feel free to add an additional Nidhoggmon or any options or anything you guys want. It's kind of optional, but Def X is just always nice to counter against certain matchups that go super wide, giving you lots of value, and we all know how good this card really is. That's it for all of our Digimon. Let's talk about our options, which we have a lot to talk about. We effectively maximize and capitalize on many memory boosts as we can. So first we have Purple Memory Boost. Purple Memory Boost for searching, which is really good. Then we have 4 copies of Miss Memory Boost. Miss Memory Boost is kind of like searching, but you get to trash top 2 cards of your deck and get to draw 1. That gives you a bit of cycling. Very nice. As always, delay gaining 2 memory. Speaking of memory, there's even more ways to gain memory. We play the 3 copies of Jack Raid. Jack Raid gives you a lot of value the later the game goes, because the more cards you have in trash, the more memory you can gain for 0 cost. And its security effect also just strictly gives you 2 memory right off the bat. Really good defensive card, essentially just like the Purple Hammer Spark for the deck. We still have more sort of memory gaining cards. We've got 3 copies of Death Slinger. When this card is trashed from the top of your deck, you get to gain 1 memory. Otherwise, it is a really good removal because it gets to delete one of your opponent's Digimon that is level 4 or lower, and you get to increase the level by 1 for every 10 cards you have in the trash. So again, later the game goes, the more versatile this option becomes, because you can pop bigger stuff, level 4s, level 5s, level 6s, and maybe level 7s. Just for effectively 4 costs is really good, and the security effect is activating its main effect, so then you get to use it as removal. Great defensive tool, great defensive card. And then for more removal now, we're talking about 2 Death Claws right here. Really important to play at least 2 of, because memory blockers are a huge counter to this deck, and you have to find different ways to pop those memory blockers so that you can actually use your memory boost, which is going to be really important for your combos once again, and I'll elaborate a little bit more. But Deathclaw is always a great card because you can delete stuff that's level 4 or lower. Last but not least, the best purple card that you must always play as a one-off no matter what, because you can only play a one-off anyways, is Calling, to grab pieces that you need, cycle back your stuff that you want to look for. Really just a good card for sure. That's it for the main deck. Let's show you guys what other cards that you can actually consider playing when you're actually building this deck. First, we have Soulmon. Once again, Retaliation is great, and Soulmon has a lot of synergy with the Retaliation and the combos with Mervamon, and it gives you all turns Digimon with Retaliation, extra 2000 DP, so a really powerful defensive card. If you ever do set up like a wider board together, all your Retaliation stuff can be really strong, beefy blockers with Soulmon. But otherwise, I think there's not enough room to sort of fit him inside, and having the DP is not super necessary at all times, so that's why I didn't decide to play him. For Tamers, other different options, you can definitely play Matt as your Memory Tamer. Memory Tamer is nice, but you don't really necessarily need a Memory Tamer in this deck, because there's so many other ways to effectively gain a lot of memory in one single turn with Matt instead of using Matt. And then you have Sora and Mimi, which is also good to gain some memory, and then you get to draw 1 and trash 1 when you do attack, so cycle a bit more. However, I rather prioritize playing my memory boost option cards as soon as possible instead, so then I can set up for the better late game. But yeah, these are some cards you can definitely have if you definitely really want Tamers. And then speaking of memory boost, we do have 1 Glaive memory boost. You can actually tech this as a one-off, I think, which is kind of nice because you're able to grab something back from your trash to your hand is kind of neat, and having that extra delay to memory is always nice. The only reason I didn't include this card is only just because I feel like there aren't really much opportunities to really play this card. You normally want to play your memory boost in the early stages of the game so they can turbo and rush very quickly. In the mid stages and the late game stages, you don't really get a chance because you want to be popping your memory boost instead of playing them, and then even being able to grab something by then is maybe a little bit too late sometimes. But if you guys still really like it for yourself, I think a one-off is not a bad choice. Okay, that's it for all the cards I want to show you guys. Let's talk about the combo segment and how to play this deck, which some of you guys might be really confused at the start, but don't worry, here I am to teach you guys today. And Mervamon Rush is very simple. It's almost like a purple rookie rush strategy. Of course, the typical combo you always want to be going into is hatching your egg, digivolving into Gabumon, and then doing the Eismon scattered mode combo right here to get the maximum value so you can trash cards and draw cards at the same time. If you don't have access to Eismon scattered mode, Dark Lizardmon is a fair substitute for that during the situation, and as soon as you're ready, don't be shy. Just go ahead and start swinging. If it has jamming, sure, whatever, it may be lesser value, because if it jams into security and doesn't get deleted, you get to make another swing later on. So as long as Asmon gets deleted, eventually you're still getting value. If it does, this is when you get to draw lots of cards, trash lots of cards. And what you really want to be setting up actually is making sure you have a Dark Lizardmon in your trash, as well as your Ignitemon and potentially your Devimons. Any of these guys that have retaliation or Ignitemon being a Xros Heart card, having it in your trash is going to be really important for you to get into your Mervamon combo later on. And as you're trashing cards, always, playing your memory boost, setting up for turn is always really important. Do not crack your memory boost way too early. You're saving it to make your top end combo later on. So it's really important that you don't waste your memory resources cards early in the stages of the game unless you necessarily have to. This same applies for your Nidhogg's. Save them in your hand until you're ready to go for the big turn. Same for Jack Raid as well. Now, other cards to keep in mind that you sort of want to be saving are sort of like not just rushing too aggressively with, other than your Demis and your Ignites and your Dark Lizards. If you're able to play these cards in the early stage of the game, go ahead and just swing in and rush your opponent down. That's what they're really there for. But otherwise, like I mentioned, other cards that are really important that you may want to be keeping and not want to be swinging too early are these cards. The Floodgate Rookies to counter certain matchups. You may not even want to play them that early in the stages of the game, unless you know they're not going to be useful against that particular matchup. Elecmon is also really important. Sometimes you might be tempted to Digivolve on top of it, even in raising or in the board, but you really need to make sure that you have Elecmon available at times, because once your opponent puts down a Floodgate Rookie that stops you from gaining memory particularly, Elecmon is where it comes in the most useful clutch times, because you want to be swinging with it into security, have it deleted so you can delete your opponent's Floodgate Rookies, so then now you have access to your memory boost and your memory gaining effects like before, which is really important for you to pull off your combos. But with that said, other ways as well is that another card that you want to be saving and not sort of like using it too early in the stage of the game would of course also be Deathclaw, which is the exact same reason, because it helps you alternatively to remove your opponent's Floodgate Rookies. And this is why sometimes I'm going to show you guys why Dracmon is really nice, because it gives you access back to your Deathclaw or your Calling from Darknesses if you ever accidentally trash it or milled it from your deck and you need it really, really desperately. But anyways, let's show you guys how to play the Mervamon deck. So of course you'll be chipping your opponent's security down to 2 or 3 ideally, and then when you have access to your Mervamon, it's really how you want to be playing it. One memory is all you need mainly, and having some multiple memory boosts is always nice. Having 3 would be optimal, but very often enough you'll be setting up a lot during your games anyways. Your opponent might chip you down, you might have 1 for free and whatnot, but otherwise, again, like I said, saving these memory gaining cards is really crucial for the later in the game. So what you want to do is want to make sure that you have the Retaliation guys and Ignitemon, Dark Lizardmon, and Mervamon in your trash. So what you want to then do is basically pop your memory boosts and make sure you can get to at least 7 memory, so then it helps retain your turn. So popping 2 of them will bring you up to 5, and finding another way to gain another 2 is totally fine. You either pop another memory boost, or if you have 20 cards in your trash, you play Jack Raid, or if you swung earlier and did some trashing combos, Nidhogg will give you an extra 1 to sort of fill in the spots in between right there. But anyways, most crucially important is to be at 7 memory somehow at the later stage of the game. Now you cross into Mervamon, also making sure your opponent doesn't have any memory blockers on the board in order to play this, because that's basically the hardest counter. You pay 8 to cross, and because of her first effect, you can cross with Ignitemon from your trash. Afterwards, you get to bring out 2 bodies with Retaliation, which is why it's really important to have your Dark Lizardmon and your Devimons in the trash. If you have multiple Dark Lizardmons, then that's great as well, and this is why you want to bring them out. And if you can bring out 2 Dark Lizardmons, go ahead. If not, then bring out Devimon. You can bring out anything that is level 4 or lower as well. So sometimes if you need to bring out these rookies, go for it. But keep in mind, your priority is always bring out the Retaliation guys, because they will gain Rush and Blocker with Mervamon's all turns effect. Now, because you played something with an effect, Ignitemon's Inheritables all turn effects will come in, gaining you that 1 memory back. So you're retaining your turn, and then all you do is swing with these guys into your opponent's security and finish the game off with Mervamon right here. Sometimes you can't, but then you can sit here with 3 blockers instead and stall out the game if you need to, and then come back in the next turn for more pressure again and start swinging in to finish the games that way. And this is how you want to be playing the Mervamon Rush deck in particular, which is really interesting, really easy idea and concept to understand, and super fun and super cool. That'll wrap up for the deck profile today. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. We got lots more Digimon videos and content coming, so definitely hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on that notification bell to stay tuned. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is Avault signing out.